Hello and welcome to the Ink Archive. My name is Briar, and today I am joined with Tyler as we watch our local game here at our locals. Tyler, tell us what we got going on today.
Hey, so today I actually wasn't present for this locals this time. Took a little bit of a break. Today we're looking at, I believe it is two Sapphire Ruby decks playing against each other. Interestingly enough, though, I do believe there are two different versions of Ruby Sapphire. I believe we have one of the more item-heavy versions with Tamatoa and the dime and like I think coils and stuff like that. And I think the other side on George's, who has the Hades Mayor, he's playing the more like the DKP style, like actions matters deck with the sharks and stuff. So it'll be a kind of an interesting matchup to see. They're gonna throw and be prepared around a lot and hard removal at each other pretty often.
Yeah, no, this is definitely going to be a very interesting match, seeing the two different versions of Sapphire Ruby here and seeing which one is the stronger version here, because there's some really good pluses and like bonuses for each different deck, some strengths and weaknesses for each one. Of course, you have the item variant here played by Johnny. He can get a very good late game and pretty much almost get 20 lore in one turn, and we might even see him do that here, which would be really cool. And then, of course, you got George, that's just going to be playing some of his typical kind of like red-blue with your normal control type patterns here. Now, we do see George basically inking and passing, and then we see Johnny playing a popsicle and then banishing that popsicle to play this bell on his first turn, which is really big here.
Yeah, I think the any lore that either of these players can get for free is pretty nice, though Johnny's might be a little bit stunted because I know George is on some amount of Pirate's Life. But if he can like start push lore, or even start getting to like something, I'm not sure how many songs Johnny's actually playing. Probably not that many if he's on any Pirate's Life himself. Interestingly, though, I didn't know he was playing this. This Sardine Can is pretty interesting to see from Johnny, though not very good in this particular matchup.
Yeah, it might not be the greatest here in this matchup, just the way things work here, but we are seeing them both ramp here. We both seen like a sail being played to help them ramp, because both decks are going to be ramping quite a bit here. So we might see for the next couple turns just them playing cards to increase their ink so that they can play more cards in this mid to late game for them. And of course, here we're seeing some visions, and then seeing Sail being played by George here, and we're just seeing cards being drawn and ink just gaining from all of that. So now we're sitting at George's at like I think 5 ink this turn, so he can go to 6 next turn pretty high and play some of these big characters like his half shark, Maui half shark, and maybe even some of these other characters as well coming down.
Yeah, these two players just want to like hit max Inkwell pretty fast. They just want to play their haymakers pretty fast. Like you said, it's gonna be a pretty slow game until we start to hit like 6, 7, 8 ink. The game is not gonna do too much. We're gonna see them just cycle a bunch of cards with like popsicles and visions, and this Marie versus Workshop is pretty good for Johnny. This is something that's extremely powerful with the 6-drop Timatoa and just a couple of popsicles, which Johnny has access to if he has the crab right now, which I did just see. And he has 2 popsicles, so he's just going to be able to like draw a bunch of cards over the next like 2 turns here, which is really good for him.
Yeah, no, this is definitely going to be a big shot here, just being able to draw a bunch of cards and then grabbing those popsicles are even better with this Tamatoa, so that you can just pretty much pay 2 ink just to draw 2 cards pretty much whenever you play one of these popsicles. It's going to be great to see just a lot of card draw and being a lot of just getting some advantage in the hand. Now we do see George here playing the Maui half shark and getting to play some actions here the following turn. It looks like he does have a Pirate's Life in hand, so he can play that next turn, knock out a character, and then grab that song back from the discard.
Yeah, it's one of the things that George's deck can struggle with is drawing cards. It's not bad at it, but it's also not particularly amazing. Whereas Johnny does have the ability to like just spend a turn drawing a bunch of cards with his Maurice's Workshop more often than not. So that's something that George is going to have to be a little bit careful of when figuring out like when he has to use his like be prepared or any kind of like removal that he has can be pretty is pretty devastating against Johnny's deck. It's just like gets around his ward, gets around his like Tamatoa sticking run for a turn, the cost one. So Johnny needs to be really careful when he actually like goes to deploy his win condition.
Yeah, no, definitely. This definitely is he's got to be reserved on those characters. And now of course we see George here playing double half shark here. We have two half sharks and we got to see a Pirate's Life being played and actually sung by the half shark so that we can gain some lore and then gain and make your opponent lose the 2 lore that they kind of got from that early game. So now George is here in the lead.
This is the scary part for George, though. Now he's down to 2 cards with no way to really draw cards, and so he really has to hope that Johnny stalls out here and doesn't see any other items, but unfortunately he has another popsicle in his hand.
Yeah, that's definitely getting some cards to help get some more cards in hand. It looks like we have a Pirate's Life in George's hand, and I don't know what the last card is. Can't quite see it there.
Scar.
A Scar? Okay. So he's got a Scar and a Pirate's Life. So he can play this Pirate's Life for next turn and then maybe even take out the Scrooge if the Scrooge ever goes sideways, but I don't know if it will. But we do get to see a Vitalosphere being played by Johnny. And then, of course, paying an extra ink because of Maurice's Workshop to draw that extra card there since it's being played.
Funny enough, too, Johnny's playing Sapphire Coils, and I see he's playing the 3-cost Unmakeable Sisu. There's the opportunity for him to get a couple of these Sapphire Coils and actually start taking these sharks down with the Sisu, which is can be pretty bad for George too in this situation if he manages to find a couple more coils.
Yeah, that actually would be very devastating here, just being able to losing all those characters here, and not giving no sharks, no effects, and just being able to get knocked out pretty easily. Now we do get to see Johnny here playing that popsicle, drawing 2 cards with Maurice's Workshop. He's got How Far I'll Go and a B prep from that, which is pretty big here. In case if anything gets out of control, he can just play this Be Prepared and clear the board, and then have George here just sit on nothing on the field and just playing actions for the next couple turns.
Yeah, I wonder if oh my goodness, a 3rd shark. I think Johnny's gonna want to play this Be Prepared next turn. I don't think it is gonna be a big deal if he does. He's probably gonna like sing How Far I'll Go with Scrooge, and then just quest with the Tamatoa, get any item down that he wants to for free, and then probably just slam this Be Prepared.
Yeah,
he does not want to deal with 3 sharks.
Yeah, and it looks like that's pretty much kind of what he's doing here. We get to, of course, quest with Tamatoa, getting to play this popsicle for free, and then paying 1 to draw a card here. So now he gets 2 cards, and then singing How Far I'll Go with the Scrooge, trying to find some extra cards here and putting cards in the inkwell. And then possibly, it looks like, because he didn't ink for turn, I believe, so we can still play this Be Prepared. Yep, we ink this Bell, and then we play Be Prepared, and knocking out everything on the board here, banishing all the characters, and restarting everybody.
Yeah. Johnny also has a big Tamatoa in his hand. And I think George has only got this card in his hand. So I imagine he's probably gonna oh wait, he drew a dime. I didn't even see him draw that time. He's probably looking to get the Tamatoa next turn then.
Yeah, no, this can definitely take him because he has 8 items on the field right now. And then whatever else he grabs from, I think, the Tamatoa here, this could actually get him pretty close to winning the game. Because if he can play this Tamatoa, he will get, actually, I think he even has game if he plays a Tamatoa. because he'll actually have 9. He'll gain 9 from the lucky dime. If he can find something else, he might be able to do some more. There might be a chance he could get it.
2, right? So he needs 2 activations of this dime.
Yeah, he'll need a 2. But we'll see if he can pull it off, because he might be able to pull it off here. This might be pretty close
He's
game.
got another 6-drop. He's got another 6-drop Tamatoa, so he's going to crack 2 pops, get him back, or he can Sisu and just try to pressure that way for a couple turns and then close the game out with this Tamatoa that's in his hand. I think Johnny's definitely in the driver's seat here. I don't think he has too much to be worried about.
Yeah, no, definitely he's definitely got control of this so far. I mean, definitely playing that Sisu, banishing all the characters with 2 or less strength on the opponent's side, and then being able to play this lucky dime. But we do see George here playing that Be Prepared and knocking out that Sisu. And we are going to be seeing Johnny here playing a Tamatoa, getting these popsicles back that he banished, and so that he can draw some more cards here with those popsicles.
I'll be interested to see if he just tries to copy Tamatoa's lore for the turn, or if he's going to play the other popsicle. He's going to sail, okay?
Yeah, we play a sail, drawing card, and then getting an ink additional card, so he gets to 2 ink this turn. So this could be pretty big here, so we could still be able to play this dime or play another popsicle, which could be good.
He's got another Scrooge.
Ooh, we see a Scrooge coming down, being played for free, since we get to ink or exert all of our 4 items so that we can grab another item, which is Fishbone Quill.
Probably fishing for the other lucky dime. We know George has a Hades, and I think he still has the Scar in his hand. So it is a little bit scary for George, or for Johnny, to play the 8-drop Tamatoa. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out how Johnny had more ink to pay for this dime, and it's because he inked a bunch of things with sale. Just took me a second.
Yeah, no, we definitely want to see this Tamatoa come down here soon here, because he'll definitely be closing out the game very soon. And it's going to be the Tamatoa So Shiny, with its great effect of just being able to gain 1 lore for every item in play on his side of the field, which is great. Now we do get to see a popsicle being played on Johnny's field, drawing 2 cards now, and seeing if we can pull off either another dime or finding a way to get this Tamatoa down and potentially gaining even more lore from it without it disappearing.
We see the Tamatoa. I honestly don't hate even here buying himself another turn with the Sapphire Coil trigger he had from making Bell. He could target Hades and play one of the small Sisus in his hand to just get rid of that Hades, and then just delay it another turn or 2. I'm not sure, with only 2 cards in his hand, and I'm not sure how relevant they are. It's a Maui and a Scar. He's very offensive tools, nothing like... He does not have anything very proactive here. Everything he has is pretty reactive. So it just, we'll see the scoop from George here. Unfortunately, not seeing a lot of his proactive removal later in the game here is going to hurt George.
Yeah, no, that's definitely was a rough spot for George, just not being able to have any sort of removal to remove this Tamatoa, and it just wasn't able to do anything it needed to do towards that late game. It was able to get some pretty good lore pretty quickly, but it wasn't able to withstand that almost 20 lore in 1 turn here. So we need to see what George does here this next turn, because of course he'll be going first, and trying to see if we can pull off some items pretty quickly, and maybe even finding some of those Pirate's Life to help kind of get him some more lore, and then finding those half sharks to keep getting those cards back as well.
Yeah, I think the thing that George needs to do, I don't think he had a hard time finding his sharks of Pirate's Life. He had a decent amount of them, but he I think he deployed too many sharks at once. With how many cards Johnny draws in a turn with the Maurice's Workshop, you have to expect at some point that he has a Be Prepared, especially with like a full grip of cards. You probably only deploy one or two and let Johnny use his Be Prepared, because that's like his only real option to deal with a half shark, other than if he gets like a bunch of Sapphire coil triggers and a Sisu, which is hard to put together. So I think George just needs to be a little more reserved on when he plays his half sharks and force Johnny to use his resources.
Yeah, no, that's definitely what should happen here, and we should need. It would be good to see him kind of help control, and pretty much just putting Johnny in a spot of, you got to remove some stuff or play some things so that I can remove your stuff pretty easily, because he did have all those cards pretty easily in the early game. It did feel like he did overcommit a little bit.
Yeah, it's something that I think sometimes George falls into a trap of doing, it is overcommitting his sharks, but he sees every shark like every time he plays, so I can't blame him.
Yeah, now of course we see the typical.
Good at finding his sharks.
Yeah, we see what is it? His typical Ruby Sapphire here, playing popsicles on turn 1 and then playing these bells. And we both see, I mean, pretty much almost a card for card here. We see both playing a T-Pode on their turn 2, being able to ink an additional card, and then having these bells knock out each other. And then we see Grandma Tala here looking at the top couple cards, grabbing one and putting one on the bottom here, and seeing what can happen here.
Yeah, George is getting to that point again where he's getting low, and he inked a shark, or he inked a crab and put one on the bottom. Pretty brutal for him. He's got to find a crab somewhere to be able to draw cards again, because I think that's like the only way for the deck to true card advantage.
All right, so we see George here playing a Visions here, trying to find some cards here, and hopefully being able to ink a couple cards. But we do see, it looks like a Sisu Hades, or was that a Fishbone Quilt? I'm not for sure what the other cards were, but I did see a big Sisu here within those cards that he put at the bottom of the deck.
Yeah, I didn't quite catch it. Johnny does have a Maurice's Workshop in his hand, which is pretty scary. We know George has got to be aware that card is part of why he got drowned in card advantage the last game. So I wonder if I don't know if he's playing any hideaways. He doesn't typically play any. But I know with the rise of this Ruby Sapphire items deck that kind of has risen from the grave since Worlds, people are trying to be a little bit more wary about this Maurice's Workshop, because it just draws you so many cards.
Yeah, I believe he's actually not playing any hideaways. He was telling me after the match he was not playing any, so he was wanting to add that afterwards. So dealing with these Maurice's Workshops is not existent. It's just going to sit there, and it's going to constantly give Johnny more cards as we get through the game.
Yeah, that's going to be the part of the uphill battle that George is definitely gonna face here. Again, losing 2 crabs is pretty detrimental to that cause, but we'll have to see how George deals with it.
Yeah, no, we do get to see him play down a half shark here, and then singing a Pirate's Life to gain some lore, to hopefully get up there in some lore count pretty quickly, but it might not last long here. Can't think we have a Sisu in Johnny's hand, and then we see 2 different bells here. We see our 3-cost bell that you can banish an item and you get to play it for free, and then we see this bigger bell. Can't remember exactly which bell that effect does, but it is a nice shiny pretty arc bell.
Yeah, I can't quite tell. I know it's an enchanted, I just can't tell if it's it doesn't look like the 4-cost one. It looks like the red-blue one.
It is the red-blue one. I just can't remember the exact effect of it. I believe
I think she grabs items back, she puts them on the bottom, and she gains never mind. Doesn't matter anymore.
Okay, cool. We're just gonna ink it. All right.
As it is, as it is ink. But I do believe she scales with items in your discard. Trying to do a Tamatoa impression in case his stuff, I find him, I flattened him, is what I would imagine that is here for.
Oh, okay. So she basically got the fact here. Pretty much what she does is you pay one less to shift her for every item that you have in your discard. And then, of course, whenever this character quests, you may put up to 3 item cards in your discard pile at the bottom of your deck and gain a lore for each one moved that way. So it's just a nice, easy way to gain some lore and put some items back into the deck. And it's a 7/7 that quests for 3. So, which can be kind of big in that late game if some of your items get kind of wiped out from your opponent playing like hideaways, or I find in my Platinums, kind of just wiping the board, and then you get to play this card, this Bell, and putting those items back and potentially gaining some lore on top of that, plus being able to quest with her as well to maybe even finish off the game.
Yeah, I will clarify though, she does not get them back from Hideaway. This Hideaway does ink.
Oh, is it
the
ink?
item
Oh,
order.
okay, never mind. Never mind.
Yeah.
It only comes from the discard.
Items, or Hideaway is a very good card, but yeah, it does like a hate to items and locations, just for clarification.
Oh man, it looks like we have George here sitting with a Be Prepared and I think a Pirate's Life in hand, or what's the other? I know we see a Be Prepared. I know there's one other card. I don't exactly remember what that other card is.
Well, he just played the Visions. That's the other card.
Did he have to? Well, he drew for turn, so I think he has one more. Unless I was wrong, he only had one card in hand. Yeah, okay, so he has 2 Be Prepared. Oof.
Oh, this chip, it's okay. I mean, it's not the worst. It does mean that anytime he sees a crab come down or anything, he can fire this off. Though I suspect when Johnny goes to play his Sisu is when we'll see it. Because Johnny's almost at the point where he can wipe the entire board with a couple of coil triggers, or at least do most of it.
Yeah, he could be very close to taking out some of these characters here. Because, I mean, he inks a card, he can -2 from 2 different characters, or he can -4 from 1. He probably will hit that shark just so that George can't gain any lore from it, from the effects. So that might be the direction he's going. And it looks like he did get to target the half shark here, minusing the strength. And then
he's gonna try and get rid of it with the Sisu. So he's gonna try and do it again.
Yeah, he's pretty close to getting it here. So let's see. He's gonna ink a card because he gets to ink that additional with the sail. Inking this Maui, Hero of All, minusing on a Grandma Tala and a half shark here. And then we get to see the big Sisu here, knocking out 3 of his 4 characters here, leaving that Grandma Tala, since it is a 3 strength character.
I think he could, I can't remember Vital Sphere's activation. If it +1, he could his Tipo into the Grandma Tala.
And it's exactly what he does.
Yep. I kind of expected it. You might as well take the opportunity. Tipo's not going to be doing, gonna change anyway. So I don't hate him just throwing it out there to get rid of it.
Yeah, and then of course we see this Be Prepared being played from George, knocking out and banishing this Sisu that was the only character on the field. Kind of has to, though, because it doesn't look like there's a lot that George can do besides just playing that. Now we get to see a Scrooge coming down, exerting the 4 items that Johnny has, looking for a card in the top 4 cards of his deck, and he does not find one. And now we get to see our big Tamatoa, so shiny he is, and grabbing back this popsicle.
And here we go. Popsicle's going to draw so many cards, though Johnny has not drawn the 2 for it yet.
There it is. Cool.
He
now
just
he
drew
drew
one.
the second one. And there's the Be Prepared.
Drew 1.
No, he drew 2. He drew one, and then they were talking. They forgot to draw the second one. But now we see, of course, it Be Prepared, knocking out the Scrooge and the Tamatoa. And George here is trying to find some cards to hopefully play some more characters here and just seeing if he can survive any longer and hopefully maybe even get this last 7 lore that he needs to win the game.
He's not in the worst spot right now. Johnny only has many cards in his hand. He doesn't have a ton, though. I think he has another Tamatoa, yeah.
Or we see that Popsicle being played again from Tamatoa and then drawing 2 cards and then passing here. We can see maybe he can gain some lore here next turn, looking for that dime. And it doesn't look like he has it yet, but he does have a Be Prepared, a Bell, another Tamatoa, but the 6-cost Tamatoa to grab the 2 items back that he would need, and then of course a Sapphire coil.
Funny enough, too, actually, he can actually quest with this Tamatoa, and it doesn't immediately get banished by Shark, which is kind of funny. It actually banishes the Shark, so George can't really do anything with this Shark until he finds something else to pair it with.
Yeah, this crab, that Tamatoa is going to be big, and it's going to be very hard to deal with this Shark.
Yeah. Unfortunately for George, too, Johnny's got this fish hook with a Maui in his hand, so he can actually, if he decides to quest with.
Yeah, there is a chance for that, too, because we can get a lot of good things here. It looks like we have 2 Tamatoas in hand. Is that what that was?
Okay. He's got a Bell. Just said what the other card. Maui, I don't know what the other 2 cards are.
It looked like he pulled another Tamatoa. That's why I think he has 2 in hand now. Okay, there's 1. Grabbing back these Popsicles, or grabbing back 1 Popsicle and a Vitalosphere here. And then being able to play these items potentially next turn to quest out, because we can quest for this So Shiny Tamatoa can quest for at least he has currently 7 lore on board with this 1 Tamatoa, and then additional 2 with the other Tamatoa here. So he can quest for 9, which can get him really high. And of course, he has the 2 items in hand, so he can get even higher with So Shiny and potentially just questing out the game here without even a dime.
Or just finally found his other crab, but I think the game is getting a little bit late for this crab to really help George get out of this situation, especially because he's had to use 2 Be Prepareds already.
Yeah, no, this is definitely a tough spot here for George, because he can lose the game any second here, and it will be definitely rough. But we do get to see a Pirate's Life here being played, so now he's kind of gaining some lore and then reducing that lore down on Johnny's side to make him reach for it a little bit more. Doesn't put him right at this range of being knocked out immediately from this.
Yeah, so he just has to hope that Johnny whiffs on all of these draws he's about to get.
Yeah, that is what he's going to hope here for, and we are exerting the forward to play this Scrooge here for free, and hopefully looking for it. And there is the lucky dime, and we see another Tamatoa and 2 items as in the other 4 from Scrooge, but it looks like he's just going to be able to play this item for lucky dime and just quest for game here.
He gets to play for free at the Tamatoa too, which is, yeah, this is that Scrooge really got him there for the lucky dime. I mean, he hit 2 other pumps too, which would have been huge too. I'm not sure if it mattered what he grabbed there.
I think, well, he would have grabbed he grabbed the lucky dime off of Scrooge, so that would have put him right where he needed to, and then those other cards go to the bottom of the deck, so he wouldn't have seen these items here. Well, that extra dime would have helped him put that extra lure on the board.
Sure, I just meant if he had grabbed with the instead, I don't think the situation changes too much for George unless he tops decks like a Be Prepared somewhere.
Eh,
Just because Johnny's going to draw so many cards, like the opportunity to get a dime anyway is pretty high. And
yeah,
he still gets to play for free with the Tamatoa.
true. Well, that was this one here. Hope you guys enjoyed this video here of the two strong decks here of, or versions of Ruby Sapphire, and seeing which one is definitely the better. I definitely think the item version of this Ruby Sapphire deck is definitely a little bit stronger against the more like the DKP version of the deck. That's more action based and things like that. I definitely think it definitely can close out that late game very quickly. Just being able to get a bunch of ink and then being able to play this Diamond Tamatoa and just winning off of that and gaining 20 lore in one turn, which is pretty insane from this deck.
Yeah, I mean, it helps that Johnny saw his Narisis Workshops both games. I think that card single-handedly will win the item version games more often than not. No, it's just unfortunate that George didn't see his crabs kind of in time to pair with his popsicles to draw his hand back to size. But you're right. I mean, I do think these two decks are pretty evenly matched, but like you said, I think the ability for the items version to just not care about Pirate's Life typically is pretty huge, which is a card that the action style of the deck really wants to prey upon other decks with, is just lowering their lore total to a point where they just can't get back into the game. It doesn't have to be a lot, it just has to be enough. And this item version says, I don't really care about losing 2 lore. I'm going to gain 18 in one turn anyway.
Yeah, no, definitely. So as we close this video out, we have a big announcement. At the end of this week, July 19th, we are going to be doing our live stream for Set Champs. So stay tuned and be ready for that. We are going to be streaming it here on YouTube and on Twitch. All those links will be down in the description below. So definitely you can go follow around there. See those cool videos. We're going to be streaming all of Set Champs from the Swiss rounds all the way to the top 8. And we are excited. A lot of new things are coming from that. And new things are coming in the future as well. So definitely stay tuned. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. And comment down below what you want to see in the future in these live streams. Or even in new other videos like this one here. But until next time, we will see you later. Bye.